You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Claret and Blue podcast. I'm James Rushton, joined by two people far more knowledgeable, attractive, more presentable, more passionate probably about Aston Villa than myself. It's of course John Townley and Ashley Preece of Birmingham Live. But you're feeling at peace then with how Villa are doing, Ashley? All good?
Oh, well, I like what you did there, James. Yeah, it's better after a win after the weekend, isn't it? Going into a fresh new week now, and got some tough challenges coming up, haven't we? Chelsea at the Bridge on Wednesday, Old Trafford, Saturday early kick-off, and I think that's what we want now, doesn't it? Test ourselves against the big boys, and a good chance to progress in the cup and get some minutes in the legs of some squad players. So, yeah, still reveling in the moments. Were you both there at the weekend as well? Just crazy scenes again, wasn't it? Just exploding into life. There's something about an Everton late kick-off, isn't there?
They can come back every week, John, can't they? If they want. How did you find it, mate? All good?
Yeah, it was Ash says it was almost like a replica of the first season back, wasn't it? Was it 0-0 when it last season? Obviously, with fans in the stadium. So then to put the performance that we did, fans rocking at Villa Park, 20-minute cameo from Bailey winning us the game. Yeah, great evening.
So I think we were all at the last time we played Everton at Villa Park with fans around, and that was obviously, I guess it goes down in legend now as one of the more electric nights at Villa Park. Bizarrely, I think it was a Premier League return, but what was the context for this time? It was another. We've already been at Villa Park twice. It's just Everton turning up. I think it's something about them 5:30 kickoffs as well, where I wasn't always a fan of them, but I think it gets something out of the fans. I think probably the fact that they're out a bit longer than they are before 3 p.m. But how does it compare? How did it compare? Because I think, Ash, that might have been one of your first games, right? Reporting on the Villa. Because I look back on if I'd made anything of it, and I wasn't even, the path we've all been on since then. It wasn't in the Birmingham Mail or anything. It was, of course, on the old blog I used to write for, and yourself, John. So the journey that the club has been on. You can see in real time. The last time we faced Everton, it feels like 6-7 years. It's a long time, and I guess I'm just trying to look for a deeper meaning, because the fans were well up for it. I mean, first off, they got singing pre-match. First off, may have been a bit drab, but John, what did you make of the atmosphere? Kind of the second half, or what would you rate it?
Yeah, it was brilliant atmosphere. I think you say under the lights, Villa Park. There's probably no place, like it. And I think that's exactly what the players look forward to as well. I remember when in the summer, when even last year as well, Ollie Watkins was always saying about the players that were already there, always saying about just wait till you see Villa Park full, jam packed. And obviously we forget that those players, Martinez as well, probably haven't had an atmosphere like that at Villa Park. Obviously missing out on last season's fans as well. No, top atmosphere, and obviously got the boys going, got us through the game, and brilliant win. And I think it was really good performance considering what was different as well, having a full strength team and pretty much a different system as well. I don't think we've had that system at Villa Park for quite some while as well, playing with wing backs. So it was all a bit different. But then I think especially saying the second half, it all sort of got going. Bailey lifted everyone, and more of that, please.
What about yourself, Ash? Because I think, obviously, that being one of the first games that you reported on, the atmosphere there, of course, we've already mentioned, it was really dynamic, electric. When our guys got through, I think my ears were like tearing. It's like you don't hear that outside like of a concert or a gig or a nightclub when you're next to the speakers. So your laptop must have been like shaking at that time. How does it kind of compare the two games?
It's quite similar, really. The sun's just setting at Villa Park. I mean, it's quite a balmy afternoon. It's got warm still, and everyone's up for it. And then just once that first goal goes in, when Cash scored at the weekend, then I think Ramsey went through, and it was all guns blazing. Then let's go at the throats, basically, and the fans fed off that. And it was like that when Wesley scored as well in the first half in 2019. Once Villa scored, then let's go for big time. We're on the backs now, and we're peppering them in the end. And that's how it was at the weekend. And Bailey come on and did his stuff as well. The goals are rattling in. There's no place like it, and that bodes well now. I think the players will feed off that. The fans will feed off that. And these Wolves next at Villa Park. And I think this home form now could really kick into gear. Still unbeaten there, of course, this season. Dating back to 2015 on a bit of a run now at Villa Park. So hopefully that continues. And I think the players will be buzzing now. Liam Bailey, I can't wait to be back out there. So, bodes well. No place like it in the Premier League for me when it's rocking like that. And Fans played their part, players played their part as well, and no better feeling, is there, James?
No, it's a first match I took my girlfriend to in a few years, and she decided she wanted to come 10 minutes before we left. So onto the phone to the ticket office, pretending to be my dad, which I probably shouldn't say out loud, but I had to buy a ticket about 20 rows in front, and she was with my dad and my brothers, and I was just next to this guy called Kevin. It was brilliant. He was like picking up amazing. Yeah. But yeah, he said I can come every week, but fair play, Kev. I do want to sit with my family, but it goes to show you that you can land anywhere at Villa, and if the atmosphere is right and the football's there, and not a night game, but a 5:30 kickoff is something to look forward to. Not to labour the point too much, but ideally we don't finish 17th this season after that. But John, it feels like no chance of that, right? It feels like it was a pretty impressive performance as the match grew on. Settling into that new formation. Thoughts on the game in general, I think.
Yeah, I think it was the performance that we needed after a bit of a stuttered start. But obviously, if you contextualise that with the injuries we've had, the COVID disruptions, obviously both Emmys going on international breaks as well. We've had a lot of off the field issues, disruptions. So I think we needed that performance against a good Everton team. Maybe not on the night because they had quite a few injuries. But that's a team that was unbeaten in the Premier League and quite hard to break down, obviously, being a Rafa Benitez team as well, especially in the first half. But no, I think it was the performance we needed, as I say, and I think the game's coming up as well. They look tough on paper, but I think, again, we almost need that sort of level of opponent. No disrespect to your Brentfords and your Newcastles and your Watfords, because obviously we didn't win all of those games anyway. But we need that level of opponent now to really get back into gear and really kickstart the season. But now the performance against Everton was exactly what we needed, and I think it was coming as well because we have real quality in that team. Emi Buendia, the player with the record club buys on the bench, and we didn't even see him. I don't think he would have been mentioned on any sort of column inches this weekend. So we got plenty to look forward to as well, which is obviously a massive positive as well.
I think the column inch for Buendia is reserved to mention it. The record boy didn't play, and he was on the plane back. How do we get these guys in, Ash? It's a good part of the debate. I think the debate about Ings and Watkins is always, you're going to have to probe the pair of them in. But when you think of Bailey, Buendia, how is this working in your head? Because it doesn't work in my head.
I think Smith went for it at the weekend, didn't he? I think he brought Target off and brought Bailey on. I thought, go on then, play on the left and just play high and we'll get a break. And I think he's going to go for it. I think he tried to do that in the promotion year, didn't he? Got his fingers burnt, as it were, and I think he's got the talent to do so now to fully go for it. I think he'll change systems as and when needed. But yeah, I mean, he could play Bailey on the left hand side and just go for it in that sense. Buendia, does he fit in? It's a puzzle these people have to solve, and the horses for courses he's told me. So it's good options to have, James. I mean, I mentioned it the weekend. I said there's £90 million worth or so on the bench for Villa. Like John said, Burnley didn't even get on, which shows you everything. I don't think Everton could name 9 subs, given their squad of late. So Villa got a healthy squad to choose from now, and options are there. And it's going to be healthy competition as well. Burnley will want to play every week, wouldn't they? And he'll be determined to do so when he gets onto the pitch to say, I want to start next week. And performance levels are going to go up, and that can only mean one thing, and Villa are going to go up. So, yeah, I'm not too concerned when it's going to go, when players going to go in, but it's a nice problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant problem to have. I think if you think about it, one of the conversations that ironically came up between myself and my new friend Kev was, look at the options you've got on the bench. It was, you brought up Neil Taylor a few times, which I thought was unfair. Neil Taylor didn't ask to be, suddenly, Premier League starting sign quality. He did a job. But when you got, Ashley Young, of course, you had Leon Bailey, on the bench. You've got options there. Got plenty of options, going forward as well when players heal, and the youngsters Philogene Badace and Carney Chukwuemeka when they're involved, when Aaron Ramsey's kicking on, whatever happens with Louis Barry at Ipswich, I know he's not being used. If he comes back, there's going to be so many options for Villa, which is absolutely bizarre to have. And we've always had options. Let's be honest, we've been able to fill a bench unlike Everton, but it's just the quality of options, I guess, John. Forced into an early change, actually, John McGinn, I think, concussion protocol. Bizarre when you're a fan, because you just like, there's a 4th substitution. All of a sudden, you have to kind of, you have to make that leap. But, the concussion protocol was used. John McGinn goes off with the dizziness that he brought up, kind of Dean Smith brought up afterwards. How do you think that affected the game? Because I thought John McGinn started the game well, but Villa win without him, and Douglas Luiz is then the creator. What do you think of that midfield three? How it looks going forward? What do you think of the impact in the first half and the second half?
Yeah, I think in general, playing that system of a wing-back system, we were all, well, not everyone, but a lot of fans are crying out for that number 6, that big dominating number 6. But I think Smith in the back of his head probably thought, well, do I need that if I'm going to play a midfield 3 in front of a back 3 or a back 5 at times? So I think when you can mix and match with Ramsey, McGinn, Nakamba coming off the bench, Douglas Luiz, Chukwuemeka coming into the fold as well. I probably missed out a few as well. So you got different options there, and you're not so reliant on players being fixed to those roles, because Douglas Luiz can cross over with McGinn. McGinn's obviously quite unique in how he plays, but all these players have got similar attributes, and I think that works quite well. It blends pretty well for a midfield 3 because they can all push on. They can all do a bit of the dirty defensive work as well. So when McGinn came off, I think that obviously limited us to some extent, because McGinn I think he started the season really well. He's obviously said himself he's much leaner, much more physically capable of grafting around the pitch now than what he was perhaps after he picked up that injury against Southampton back in 2019 now. I think we got plenty of options to mix and match, and I don't think the midfield is necessarily the problem that a lot of supporters thought it might have been when the season got going. But I think in general, just having that capability to play different systems. And I think Smith, if the one thing that we all knew him by as a coach before Villa was that he always played a 4-3-3 with Brentford, with a little, diminutive number 6 like a Ryan Woods or something, and that was almost Douglas Luiz for a large part of last season and the season before. But now we've seen a wing-back system, and it's all more expansive, different options. So I'm no surprise with Aaron Danks coming in as well that we're trying different things and playing 2 up front now. So the club's taking it in a different way, and I'm sure a lot of that's down to Dean Smith as well, of course. But no, I think that's a really good sign that when McGinn does come off, you still win the game 3-0, and we're still full throttle, because obviously John McGinn's the player there that you look towards to kind of get you going, taking the ball from defence to attack, and so obviously the crowd helped us as well, but I think the system certainly helped.
So I think I really want to bring up Jacob Ramsey. Ashley, it's always like Roch now on this podcast, because he starts and he's like, oh, why is he in front of Chukwuemeka, etc., etc. Fans kind of want to, some fans want to see that change. Like, Chukwuemeka's a star boy, he's a legend of the future. But Jacob Ramsey is coming kind of quietly, I guess, to start the season. Big boy performance against Chelsea, but this one, I think it was more. It wasn't the highlight. It wasn't the highlight reel. It wasn't kind of taking the headlines, but it was a really, really steady and strong performance from him. What did you make of our mate? Yeah,
I mean, he just glides on the ball, and he's really nice on the eye in central midfield, and he knows he can do it at this level now. A Chelsea performance was a real coming of age one, and against Everton the weekend, again, it was another 8 out of 10 display, and in front of a baying Villa Park, who won every ounce of blood off you, he gave it them back, and he was everywhere, lucky not to score. I'd been chuffed with him if he scored, but yeah, he's had a fine start to the season. A Premier League performer now in his own right, and his value is rocketing by the week. I mean, what's he worth now? 20 million? He's a 20-year-old kid here who's got a handful of Premier League starts under his belt, and he's an England under-21 international as well. So bodes well. He'll keep working hard at the body more, and I think Smith deserves put credit in the ways he managed him. He rejected countless loan offers last summer, kept him around the group, and that's brought him on another level now. So yeah, fantastic. So I mean, in Villa's Arsenal, a player who can do it at the level now. So yeah, really pleased. Another note as well I wanted to make as well about the set pieces as well. I thought they were very good at the weekend. I like the one where Cash went short to Target launched it in, and Villa were close again. And from a throw-in as well, Cash thrown to Danny Ings booted it to Bailey, goal, and from the corner as well was very good. I thought Villa set pieces under Austin McPhee now were very dangerous, and that's another string to their bow as well. So what John said about the coaching side of things, I think it's all bodes well. Systems in place, and they've got the personnel to do it as well.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Ash, on the set pieces, and I'm going to bring up a number, and I know Pat is kind of producing this episode in the background. Stats Pat, he's going to be banging his keyboard. I can hear it from here. I was going to say, taking his job. In terms of shot creating actions, Konza is at 0.8 per 90, so per game, from 0.14 last season, and Mings at 1.25 per 90, which is up from 0.39 last season. So the sample size, look, it's tiny. It's like 4 or 5 games. But there are only 2 in terms of the overall figure. Konza's gonna eclipse his tally from last season in terms of these shot creating actions. He made 4. Mings made 14, so obviously he's always had that impact. But it's how that impact is progressing. They are making a lot of impact early on in the expected goals. Mings and Cons, it's early doors, and Villa haven't created a great deal, but they're right up there in the early stage of the season. It just goes to show you what these set pieces are doing, and I want to see if there's any insight you could kind of give us from your space, because Austin McPhee it looked like he was having some right words throughout the entire game. So, they are concentrating on something. When we always going to dig out Danny Murphy on this about why the Villa need a set piece coach, but they're using 2 massive physical assets in the way Konza and Mings and the substitute and the rotation defenders in Yak, so Twanzebe, Courtney Horse, how they can win the ball and knock it down, and it's working. That's what is going on there.
He needs to give some credit to the Claret towel as well. Matty Cash uses as well.
Yeah, it's a whole squad thing though, isn't it? It's like you got Matty Target, Ashley Young, Ashley Young, fair play, trying to launch it in.
I think really interesting dimensions of Villa this season. I think they're trying to hit first contact at the back post, and he heads it across. You got Fox in the box like Danny Ings lurking around, and Mings still in there, and Watkins, and McGinn gets forward now and again. So it's flooding the box, and they're making the opposition think and panic a little bit, and it's going to bode well. They're going to score goals from it. So long may that continue. I think Austin McPhee deserves huge credit for coming in and instilling his methods so quickly. I know they have all week to practice it, but it's coming out on there in the weekend. Everyone can see it, and it's going to make Villa stronger. And I'm all for that, and long may it continue.
Yeah, need more specialist coaches. We need the goal kick coach. Certainly not to dig out another team, but West Ham could have had that penalty coach. Coach Sean, just tell him where to hit the ball, man. That's all you need to do. But John, like we brought it up in the last podcast, the important set pieces to Villa. It's not just that though; the open play. What do you think? In the podcast previous, when we've reviewed games, it's always been set pieces. Was there a bit more from open play this time, do you think, as well as the set pieces?
In general, though, when you've got, let's say, like a baying crowd, I think Everton are kind of bound to sort of retreat at times, and that obviously lets us play a bit more than what we would away from home, for example. But now it's on the set piece as well, as Ash says. Like, I think the rate at which we're learning Austin McPhee's methods as well, because it seems quite simple to just lay it short to target gives it to concept back, and then Mings to things. But these things take time, and getting methods across isn't easy. We've seen this, right? If it was that easy, every club would do it, because Rory Delap showed like 10 years, you launch a ball into the box and more often than not, you'll probably score. So why don't more teams do that? So there's obviously a method to it. I watched Cheltenham Town almost every game last season, and they basically got promoted. No disrespect to Cheltenham, but they used a long throw almost every single opportunity and scored almost every single game from a long throw. And I thought clubs need to use this. And if you've got someone like Mike Cash who can hurl the ball into the box, I'm sure there's plenty of other players who can do it. So I'm not sure why it's only Villa that really make use of a long throw at least. Smith said as well in the summer, you reading a David Moyes article from some sort of outlet, and he said the throw-ins were going to be the next big thing, and they almost got lost in 6-7 years of Guardiola trying to play football incredibly beautiful, and then everything happens with Jurgen Klopp's heavy metal football, but then everyone just forgot the long throw and the set pieces. Like, it's a massively important side of the game, and if we can make full use of it, why not?
Absolutely, I think you completely agree, and kind of brings me to a point, and this is a point that it's very relevant to Aston Villa, but AFC Wimbledon, like you said, with the lower leagues, there's a lot of kind of ingenuity that has to happen there, where the finances are tight. So you see your long throws, you see your set pieces. AFC Wimbledon have a substitutes coach, and they don't call them substitutes anymore. They call them finishers, because they come in and finish the game. There's no better finisher, Aston Villa, in terms of coming in and finish a game, like Leon Baylor, 20 minutes, mate.
He came, he saw, he conquered.
He's off now, Real Madrid, 60 million. That's his last guy.
Yeah. I've had a good feeling about him. Obviously, after 10 minutes at Watford, that cross from McGinn, he showed enough then. I had a great view at Stamford Bridge last week, so close to the pitch level. And just his feet in close control, I thought, Villa on something there. And he backs it up this week as well. I just knew he was going to score. Once that header, like Michael Owen-esque, nodded it down, he unleashed hellfire, that's bang. And I knew before that. I thought, here we go. And then the place erupted. He's got a devastating left foot, as we all know, and he hit it too hard. But yeah, serious play in our hands now. I think Villa can kick into gear now. Smith's got his squad. together, and Bailey's going to be the star. I fully believe that. I mean, I mentioned it in my piece where he's at 85 minutes of Villa action, two assists and a goal already. He's outperforming that kid who we sold for 100 million at the moment as well. So yeah, bodes really well. He's only 24 as well, James. Dean Smith was asked about his age and his development as well. He's excited to take him to the new level as well. He's been around the block, Champions League football, Europa League. He's played in different countries. He's acclimatised, and the Premier League's got a new star here, and Villa are going to be the big beneficiaries of that. I can't wait to see him in action this season, and hopefully he's okay for Man U at the weekend. I can't see him being risked at Chelsea. But yeah, finally got the player on our hands to work in, week out, and hopefully he stays injury-free.
It's ironic about that injury, though, isn't it, Ash? Because it happened during a shot. And I mean, it's a tight quad, obviously, from a shot. We've all played a bit of football here. We all know about the tight quads when you're taking a goal kick like me. You can't play anymore. But yeah, I wonder you would never wish injury on a player like Leon Bailey. But what's going to have to, when he tears it from a shot and he takes the whole end out, you're going to have to put a Perspex barrier up or something. What was your reaction like coming off, though, Ash? Because it seemed like a really bad thing, but it doesn't seem like a problem. It's like, 20 minutes in out, I was a bit sore, game done.
Yeah. That's about clever, really. Don't want to risk it anymore. I said, I've done my bit, the game's done. I want to get myself ready for Man U, hopefully. And he said that afterwards, hopefully it's not too serious and it's a precaution. But yeah, I think Bailey had pace, genuine pace now. I mean, I've seen some articles, his speed levels and all sorts. He's he's up there with the Premier League's best now in terms of speedsters. So I think Villa have needed pace, haven't they? I think Al Ghazi and others, Bertrand Traore, have got that genuine pace. So I think he adds that dimension. And Smith mentioned this countless times. Defenders hate pace. And he's just going to run defenders ragged this season. And with the whole team behind him, Villa Park rocking behind him, willing his every move, I think he's going to be a star, mate.
Yeah, can't wait to see more of him. We've literally lots in him, but I think we was always going to be, I guess, as a Villa fan, worried about the big sale that happened and your big playmaker going off to Man City and doing the job there and scoring in the Champions League and being all jealous and whatnot. But Leon Bailey, John, I feel like, dare I say, don't think we're missing a trick. I think we look okay. We are not the same team. We're probably not as good, but we're good enough, I feel, with Leon Bailey.
Yeah, I think I don't understand how he's stayed in the Bundesliga for that long, considering the guy's no secret. We haven't picked him up from Genk or Gent. He's come from Bayer Leverkusen playing the Champions League, ripping it up in the Bundesliga for 3 or 4 years now. And I was stunned to see 30 million on the table, done deal. It was almost too easy. Everton have obviously been linked with him for a couple of seasons now as well. But as Ash says, like, it's pace, but it's pace with purpose. Like, from where he picked the ball up with his head, against them for that goal, that he made it look so easy. He takes it on his head, a couple of yards. He was only jogging really, and then he steadies himself, hesitates, clean, middle of the bat, bang, Begovic, no chance. So he makes it look very simple, and I think obviously there's more to come. We've only seen him for like an hour, but he's one of those players. Actually, like he's going to scare so many defenders this season. Obviously, in the last couple of years, you have a player like Grealish who can take the ball and attracts players. Which frees up space for strikers and midfielders. But Bailey does that in a different way. He's always going to be occupied by defenders. You see it with like Ismaili Sarr for Watford. He's their biggest threat. He's out on the wing, but all the players are attracted to him, worried about him. They forget about the other players that come inside. So you look at how we're going to set up with Watkins and Ings. You got John McGinn behind, and obviously Emi Buendia, club record signing. So you've really got a really good spread of quality there. You just say it's pace, but it's serious pace that can really hurt a team. It's not just pace for the sake of it. So we got relatively quick players, but no player that can really carry the ball like what Bailey can do, and obviously have a really good end product as well.
What a pass from Danny Ings as well. I think.
Oh yeah.
Podcast prior to this, actually said no impact. Like, well, not. Yeah. It was almost the off the ball stuff. Like the pressing, the just being the physical presence to make Chelsea think twice.
Yeah.
Here you had a bit more. What was the difference between Chelsea Ings and Everton Ings?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was frustrated at the weekend as well against Everton. He was quite quiet up until the hour, but his graph was unreal, wasn't he? Dropping in that 10 pockets. He stopped Allen from playing, so he sacrificed himself for the team. So he allowed like McGinn and Ramsey to have a bit of a free role in midfield, while Douglas looked after the other one. So very selfless from Ings at the weekend. He was tracking back onto the left back and right back slots and winning balls in front of the touchline. The Trinity Road stand were loving it, and he put a real team shift, and I think that's the consensus now amongst this group. It's a team now. We've seen that in the scenes afterwards as well in the dressing room. I think Martin's posted a photo as well. Really closely grouped together. I think Deansby's building a culture. Culture takes a long time to build, and obviously Villa about the main man, the one-man tag slapped across him over the last couple of seasons. But that's gone now, and there's a real team ethic in there. And I'm right behind that, you know. And Danny Ings is a key member of that team, and he's a decent start. 5 games, 2 goals, a couple of assists as well. His numbers are there. And I mentioned this in the piece of the week. I think Watkins and Ings will get their reward sooner rather than later. They deserve it. I mean, they had one shot between them at the weekend, but it was about the other goals, wasn't it? Cash coming in, Bailey doing his bits, and next week could be Watkins and Ings doing their bits. So they're all chipping in. I like the team ethic. I love to get behind the team, and the team are getting behind, and the fans are getting behind that team. So that's going to bode well for the season. Playing games week in, week out. They'll win together, they'll lose together, but I think they've got some faults about them, I think, and they showed that against Everton at the weekend.
I think who exemplifies that fight more? I'm trying to think. Danny Ings had a good tackle, didn't he, on that touchline? Right?
Yeah.
Don't expect that from. I mean, Danny Ings is Danny Ings. He does a lot, but you wouldn't put that on Ollie Watkins. Is Ollie Watkins doing that? I bet he would if you give him the chance. But
100%.
it was it gets people to their feet, doesn't it? Man to speak about though for both of you, Tyrone Mings. I think a lot of criticism came in. I think I saw. Pete, the mad Canadian Villa fan, who does the expert analysis of the Premier League, and he picked apart Tyrone Mings' mistake and highlighted loads of reasons. And you should go watch that rather than me kind of nick that analysis. But he had to, in the eyes of many, a point to prove. Did he prove it, John?
Yeah, I think whenever a player makes a mistake, it's always Tyrone Mings is the one that people pick out, but he's always the one that's coming back from a mistake. But and you'll never see him. Coming out after an interview on the game or going on Twitter saying, that's why, we shouldn't be, berating our players or whatever. He'll do it in silence. He'll do his talking on the pitch. It's only when a little mistake might happen. And that's when, he gets a bit of battering for it. And I don't understand why, because he's our captain and he's been brilliant for us in the last 3 or 4 years. Ever since he made his debut against Reading, you saw right there, that's a player. And coming into the Premier League, he's an England international, kept how many clean sheets for England whenever he's been playing as well. So it's lost on me. I don't understand it, and I don't think many Villa fans do, to be honest. He's a brilliant player, Tyrone Mings, and I don't think we could have a better leader of the club, a better club captain for so many reasons. But if we're focusing just on the pitch as well, he's a brilliant footballer, brilliant defender, more interceptions and blocks combined than any other player, I think, in Europe's top 5 leagues since the start of last season. That's mental. That's a lot of players, and for a centre back as well to do that. He's not just a grafted midfielder. He's a brilliant player, and brilliant that he's with Villa and he's our captain.
Heroic performance from the captain, then, Ashley. I guess to kind of sell it in the headline way, it's from a 0 to hero. I guess, even though there's still debate about what happened at Chelsea. Yeah, fantastic against Everton.
Literally, yeah. I mean, Mings plays his best football when he no nonsense, gets rid of it. I mean, steams into players, doesn't have to think too much, and just hoops, get it away. Wins headers, blocks, interceptions, like you say, and yeah, I mean, he let one ball bounce at the weekend, and a couple in the press box went, oh, there he is again. I thought that's one time, and he gets highlighted too often for me. But like I say, when Mings just gets rid of it, no nonsense. We'll play it higher up the pitch. That's where he does his better work, and he was riding out the back line at the weekend as well. He tried the crossfield pass to Wings, it did almost come off, and yeah, I've got no problems with Wings either. I mean, I rate him really highly. He gets a lot of flack unnecessary from me as well. But like I say, I think he plays his better football when he doesn't have to think too much and just no nonsense, gets rid of it, and gets to build up the pitch, and that's the way to go. I think Constant plays the same as well. Takes no risks. And I was pleased with the defence at the weekend. I thought they managed it quite well against Townsend, Gray and Rondon. So, yeah, long may that continue as well.
It's kind of wild to think, of course, obviously, with the absence of Jack Grealish and how much of the game went through him. How much of the game seems to go through Konza and Mings and, Tuanzebe as well as that back three?
Yeah.
You talk about taking the handbrake off, Ash. Is that Mings and Konza's job? Are they in the driving seat in regards to everything Villa do? Because it seems that way against Everton. It's like they are the new midfield, almost. That back three is They're the guys that are going to win the game or lose the game, essentially. What do you think of? I know like Dean Smith said, is the impetus was on them to step up, and Konza and Mings were named, I think, to step up and start those attacks more often. Was that the kind of galvanising change?
That's what he told him at half time. He wanted them to step out more. He calls them the outside centre backs, which is quite a nice name for them. Obviously meant Konza and Mings step out from the back, get Villa higher, and that's where Villa's first goal come from. If you look at Konza, he played the ball down to Ings, and then Douglas Luiz plays it to Cash, and Villa are in. So if you squeeze higher up and get bodies further forward, it causes the opposition to think. So Villa can get done from now and again on counter attacks if the ball is misplaced. Villa high, they'll get done on the break, but I think the handbrake is off. I think Villa are going to be brave this season. They're going to look to outscore teams, and I think that's the way they'll go. They've got quality to do that now. They've got quality to, if they are goal down, what we've seen at Stamford Bridge, they'll come again and look to equalise and take the game to the opposition. So, I think that'll be the mantra Villa will go for this season. They want to attack. They've got attacking options. And, Watkins and Ings, 2 marksmen there, and bags of goals in them. So, why not?
Yeah, it seems like Mings and Konza especially are having a lot of fun with their role. And maybe that contributes to some of the stuff like you saw against Chelsea with Mings, but they seem to, the fact that it's still involved in the attacking set, they are the front and centre of those attacking set pieces. So, as a defender, when how you see how the roles progress, from years and years ago when you were just lumping people, then lumping the ball up, to being essentially the playmaker, the captain, the distributor, the last line of defence. I think it probably goes unnoticed how much, not just rest on Mings, but Konza, Tuanzebe, how much of that back 3, back 4, back 5, whatever it turns into be. How much rests on them. Matt Target can be an unsung hero, player of the season last year. But Matty Cash was the main man, John. What a way to score your first Villa goal, eh? He scored some belters. I've covered Nottingham Forest. I think I covered them when I played back east, and he scored, right back scoring that goal. I know his history is all across, he's been winger, striker, midfielder, and now he's fullback. But he's a guy who can seemingly do it all, and lapses there like every Villa player. In 2021, every Villa player has their lapses, but what a way, to score, unlock the game, do it, and he's done it.
I just love the celebration as well. Like, he ran the length of the pitch, celebrated his family. He's a knee slide. I went on for like 2 minutes. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant goal as well. I think the wing back system suits Matty Cash just as it does Mings and Konza. But I think him especially, because you say James has played. He's covered probably most of the pitch actually in the last 10 years of his development career. Up until now, a wing back's probably his best position because he's all energy. I think when we signed him, we all expected him to be that guy that doesn't stop running, and that's exactly what he can be in a wing back role. And he has that defensive security going the other way as well because you've got Ezri Konsa behind him. He's played right back for Charlton for a couple of years, and then you've got Mings as well, who played left back for Bournemouth. So you've almost, as Smith said, outside centre back, so you can play full back. So it works really well. Obviously, so like Sheffield United with their overlapping centre backs, that sort of thing. I'm not saying we're going to be doing that, but it's a really good blend there, and so especially for Matty Cash, because he can get forward. I think a couple of his deliveries weren't particularly up to scratch, but I think that's something that you can work on. And if you keep getting in the right positions as he did, we'll get the rewards for that. And he's a brilliant finish as well with his left foot, his weaker foot. That's not something that I've seen before on his weak side. I don't think he's played on the left side before Matty Cash or even at Nottingham Forest. So brilliant goal and brilliant movement as well. I think the pass from Douglas Luiz was superb. I don't think it's one of those passes where you wouldn't even have seen it if you didn't play it. If that makes sense, you wouldn't have heard the Villa Park crowd give a moan because no one saw it apart from Douglas Luiz. And one touch left foot, and then Matty Cash is away and brilliant finish.
Yeah, I think a lot of hard work was done in that last. It was a kind of beautiful move all around, but Douglas Luiz. 5 chances he made, so that was in terms of your teams outside your big six, your top six. That leads the pack, and there's some big names in there, of course. Most of them, a few of them, fairly playing against us and making fewer chances. So, more advanced role for Douglas Luiz, Ash, and Marvelous Nakamba back to kind of fine form as well. So, kind of going back to the midfield conversation, Douglas Luiz, is that more? Do you see him more kind of stepping up now, or is it? Nakamba's defensive midfielder, or is Douglas Luiz going to come back to defensive midfielder? Because I felt like he wasn't really, really exciting, but he did a really good job of it, Douglas Luiz. I thought when you naturally, when you think of a player stepping from a 6 to 8 to 10, you think, oh, they're gonna, essentially be like, Totti for Lionel Messi or Michi for, they're going to take the whole handbrake is off there, they're going to ball out. It's not always the case. Sensible from Ramsey, sensible from Luiz, sensible from Nakamba, not without flair. Ramsey almost scored for example, and Douglas Luiz, that one touch, kind of, it's just like, it was almost like a metal bar that bounced the ball off. It was just really delicate, gentle, kind of pushed him in, but really kind of intriguing about those midfield options again. So what does it look like? Kind of not Chelsea, because it's a League Cup match of rotation. More so Manchester United. How does that work for you? McGinn come back in, Luiz come back at the back, Ramsey stay as the kind of attacking one. What's the balance in your head?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? How about mention for Nakamba's little pass? I think his left foot still pinging for it to target. It was unreal, wasn't it?
Yeah,
incredible that one. That one sticks out. But just talking about Douglas Luiz there, I really liked his work this season. I mean, he's such a good ball player. He has got that Samba style. I mean, he keeps the ball lovely, knows how to caress it, knows the way to pass, and I prefer him a bit further forward. But he can do both, can't he, James? I mean, he played that six for a long old time for Villa now. He's done a job there. Nakamba is probably more apt at doing that, but I think Douglas Luiz is better on the ball. But I think Nakamba had a faultless showing when he come on from the beginning of the weekend. And it'd be interesting to see how Villa line up now with against a Man U side the weekend. I played with Fred and McTominay in there, with Fernandes ahead of them, and they got Pogba and stuff to deal with. So yeah, it all depends on if McGinn's fit. I expect he would be, given the concussion injury, but we'll soon see. But there's options there. I think in the week against Chelsea, I think on Wednesday, I think Nakamba will probably play, get some minutes in the tank against Chelsea, start to the lineup, and we'll go from there. But options are plenty, James, and nice dynamic to have. I think Douglas Luiz can play a variety of roles. I think McGinn's coming to his own this season. Why? Because he's playing further upfield. That for me, if you give him a license to squeeze and press from the front, but before I think he's had the shackles around his ankles. You know what I mean? Playing that defensive 2, in that 4-2-3-1 shape that they played. So the system's benefiting McGinn, like John said, benefiting Cash and others. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens at the weekend, how they fit in the dynamic against Man U. So yeah, intriguing to see, and see how we'll line up on Wednesday.
With all of this talk and excitement about Douglas Luiz doing Douglas Luiz things, we haven't even spoken about the second goal, which was probably one of the better goals you'll see at Villa Park, bar the little caveat that it was an own goal, because the vast majority of people, myself included, assumed that Leon Bailey had sent a corner kick straight in, which had been, that was honestly deflation, finding out that it came off Dinier's head, so barely. I mean, if it hits his like quiff and goes in, is that really, an own? I don't know. I don't make the rules, but I feel like you should give that one to Leon Bailey straight in. And it was deflation, finding out that it was an own goal. So yeah, if there's only one kind of smudge on the result, it's the fact that we don't even get to call that the great goal it was. It was an own goal. But what was your kind of thoughts on that John and Ash? I wanted to go to John first, because I think that's the first time I've seen that, and I know it's not directly from the corner, but it's someone I've always wanted to see at Villa Park.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't actually get awarded to Bailey, because I think it was going in. I'll have to see the replays a couple of more times, but I guess an own goal is probably safe enough. No, I think Begovic probably just got caught out by the flight of the ball in some ways. I think, and obviously Dinier as well, probably thought he was a couple of inches taller to clear the ball away. But it's a wicked delivery, and I think we kept going for that near post, didn't we? Clearly, again, McPhee's isolated that as a weak point for Everton. Perhaps thinking that Pickford was going to be in goal. Perhaps because obviously no one knew that Begovic was going to be in the sticks. So no, I think it's again we deserve that reward because we kept trying it. We've clearly again identified it before the game, so we deserve that reward. And again, Bailey's delivery as well, really good. It wasn't just that free kick as well. I think throughout when I was only 20 minutes, and obviously against Watford as well, the assist for McGinn. Really technical player, and just staggers you kind of again. 30 million and is at Villa Park. It's he's going to be a top player, and if he can get his fitness up and start putting some 90 minutes together consecutively, I think we'll have a real player there, and we'll shooting up the league. In no time, dead balls. He scored three free kicks as well by Leverkusen in 2 years, I think it is. 2 against Bayern Munich as well. So you're obviously losing out on Ward-Prowse, who's probably one of the best in Europe, to be fair. But then you've got an exponent there of a dead ball in Bailey, off the ball, brilliant, and on the ball as well. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Any questions asked in the press box about that goal, Ash? Bit of chaos straight in. Who did it come off? What was going on there for you?
Well, yeah, we have to watch the replay. In front of us and nicked off Dean's head. But I seen it last week at Stamford Bridge. This is a purposeful attack by Villa. John McGinn was on for a corner kick duty that way. He just piles it in on the keeper. Basically, I think he's basically told to shoot. Hit it as hard as you can at the keeper, the corner. Yeah. Make him work for it. So if he spills it, Villa are going to pounce. So I think that's McPhee ball again. He wants the corners in to test the keeper at pace. And look what can happen. A little glance, a little nick. It goes in. So hard to defend against. And I think Douglas Sweet tried that a few times. And Mings went close, didn't he? Begovic palming that away. So that is a tactic Villa are looking to do with corners now, just to get it on the money, make the keeper work. And if you get to nick, it's going to go in, isn't it? As we've seen at the weekend. So we'll see that again this week and next.
Through this whole conversation, it seems like Villa just you mentioned Danny Ings. You got to think about Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings. Oh man, Tyrone Mings, there's 3 cons, and then John McGinn's just belting the corners directly at you. Just makes everyone's life a misery if for the opposition. But Martinez on the other side of things, probably really comfortable. Had to be a comfortable clean sheet for me. Was it on the red eye flight, 2 a.m. in the morning, whatever, back to BHX, whatever he's had to do to get around this mad situation. What's the knowledge on that, Ash? How was the diary looking for Martinez on that day?
Oh yeah, Frantic.
I've got to ask you about the diary because he didn't do anything really on the pitch, did he?
No, I asked Smith at Chelsea when are the 2 back, and he said he didn't know. But he just kept that hiding from me in the end. But yeah, 2 a.m, Martinez spilled the beans in the end, and 15 hours before kick-off. So yeah, he did well. I thought everyone knew Martin would come straight back in and would be on the bench. So yeah, he didn't have too much to do apart from watching Gray's effort just whistle wide, and then Villa went on the front foot. So, yeah, I mean, he's back now, thank God. But in a couple of weeks now, there's another international break. So, we'll see what happens there, I guess. And, yeah, I think Argentina has still got another 10 World Cup qualifiers to do. So, it's just deflating, isn't it? Are they going to miss him again now? Or... So, yeah, I think Dave was asked about that at the weekend as well. He says nothing we can do. We'll see what the situation is with the government and whatnot. So, hopefully that doesn't happen again. It was a bit farcical, wasn't it? But it's done now, and they're both back, and they're both training well ahead of the 2 games coming up.
Yeah, English people getting mad at Argentina. It's a story as old as time, isn't it? With Martinez, I say he didn't do anything on the pitch. That's not that's not a negative against him. It's that he had 1 shot on target against him. I think it was Andros Townsend. Just he's already had his worldie quota for the month, hasn't he? So
yeah, exactly.
Just curled it straight into his palms. But John, the defence looks so better with him, and that Jed Steer coming wasn't exactly he came in from the cold, and he hasn't played a great deal of football. You can see the difference with Martinez, the distribution, the quality, the lack of threat from the opposition. He seems to nullify it a lot, and people thought would he kind of hit the heights of last season? Early doors, yeah. It's another clean sheet for Villa. He's an international player now. He's a Copa America winner, so he's got a lot of under his belt since he's relatively short time at Villa, but he came in. You can see the quality. Did he help that back three at all? In your eyes?
Yeah, he breeds confidence, doesn't he? He's a player that is probably one of the most. I think Ash said in pre-season, probably the most important Villa player we have in terms of on the pitch. He could be a captain as well as Mings, but he's got that influence that you can't buy. He's irreplaceable. We know Jed Steer's a good goalkeeper in his own right, but you even look at that Tyrone Mings mistake against Chelsea and you just think, well, is Emi Martinez a couple of yards higher? When he's missed, it's a big miss, and I think that's the measurement for me. When he's in goal, he doesn't have anything to do. You can't say anything about it, but when he's not there, that's when you can make your evaluation about Martinez, and we've obviously seen that against Chelsea. And will we see it again a couple of more times this season, as you say, with Argentina having more World Cup qualifiers? Hopefully not. But no, he's a top goalkeeper, and you dare I say it, I'd worry, to be honest, with every other transfer window that comes around now. In the summer windows, because he's one of the best keepers in Europe. It's as simple as that. He's one of the best in the Premier League. So we're very lucky to have him, and it's a good thing that he loves the club, and and that we're probably helping him out as well with the Argentina stuff. Letting him go. Exactly. 'Cause it's a bit of a favour, isn't it? Something for him to say. Villa trust me and they'll let me do my thing, and I'll repay him on the pitch and try and realise the club's ambitions, reflecting of his own, because he wants to get to the top as well, Martinez, and Artezemi Buendia as well when he joined us. So the club's clearly got a project with it, and hopefully he'll stick around for that. But no, at the moment, he's a top goalkeeper, and he could claim more than 15 clean sheets this season if he. If we put a mind to it. Obviously a bit of a slower start this season where it was last season in terms of clean sheets. But now, I think we'll be in and around that number again.
Yeah, trying to, at risk of clawing more talking points out of a great win, but I think it's time to briefly jump on the next two matches. Chelsea. So this podcast comes out today on a Monday, 20th of September. We play Chelsea in the Carabao Cup tomorrow, which is a difficult game to assess because there should be some rotation, Ash. But to sum it up, what do you see kind of Villa looking like? I think in terms of your first teamers, I think Buendia is probably back in your eyes, right, Ash?
I'd say so. Yeah, I think he needs some minutes. I think Buendia starts for me. It's a cup Villa love. I'm always up for the cup. It's a cup Villa can win. We got close to it in 2020. Obviously losing to Man City. We enjoy this cup. We won it 5 times. Got a good history in it. I like it personally. It's a great chance to win some silverware, and hopefully they can do that this season. The only bad side of it, got a bad draw really. Stamford Bridge. I see some of the players Chelsea didn't even bring on against Tottenham. The likes of Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, Chilwell didn't even get on. And we've got Timo Werner probably will play, and so Chelsea will be strong. It all depends on how strong Villa want to be, knowing they've got an early kick-off on Saturday against Man U. So for me, it's a good chance for some of the squad players to come in. I think Morgan Sanson, he didn't even make the squad last week against Everton. He was on the pitch afterwards, though, doing some running work with Jack Sharkey. So I think he needs some minutes. £40 million player there. I think he needs some minutes. Nakamba plays. And yeah, I think Tuanzebe plays. Obviously, he can't play the weekend, so he's a nailed-on starter as well. It's whether Smith drops the likes of Mings, Konsa, and others. Interesting dynamic. The fans are split down the middle regarding squad selection-wise. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but a bit of mix of both. I mean, would Archer start for you up front, or would you keep Watkins up there probably? And I could probably see a change of shape as well. I can't see Villa playing the 3 centre backs for this one. You're going to mix and match, try and get your Traorés, El Ghazi, and Buendias in behind the front man, and I'll probably play Nakamba and Sanson in midfield, and probably go to a back 4. But I don't know. It all depends on why Smith sees his competition, and obviously with the big game this weekend against Man U, with it being the early kick-off as well, I think changes will be a plenty. But Villa got a good squad now, haven't they? It's down to them players to prove themselves. Yeah,
I think, John, what do you think about Cameron Archer starting? Because he's had a bit of a funny hand played since scoring an unexpected hat-trick. I mean, Cameron Archer, in terms of the youth products at Villa, probably the one that nobody was really keeping an eye on. Brad Young shot into ascendancy from, outside. Louis Barry. You've always had the high-profile names. Cameron Archer's someone who's really kicked on all of a sudden, though. Yeah. Probably not to, probably to some people who are keeping a close eye on Solihull Moors, probably 1% of our current audience who are watching every game. You can kind of clue us up in it, but he's come on a long way, and it's a tough gig for him. You've bought Caleb Chukwuemeka in. Carney's probably who can play up front. Wesley, Keenan Davis, Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins, of course, ahead of him as well as Brad Young, Louis Barry. So all of a sudden, it's like everything's come up Cameron. He scores a hat trick. He's about to be brought on in a Premier League game. There's an injury. He can't be brought on in a Premier League game. Then we get Chelsea, and it's like, this is a good chance to win. Do we want to play Cameron Archer up front? There's been no chances for him since he deserved a chance. Yeah. John, is what I'm trying to say. Do you think he comes in? Do you think it's a back 3 and you play 2 up front? Archer's one of those 2, and you play Ings or Watkins, or is it a single player? Is it Archer just up front or Watkins, like Asher suggested?
I'd be playing Archer if it's a 2 up front for sure, because I don't think you can play Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings together, just because of match minutes. And Ollie Watkins only come back from injury a couple of weeks ago, and obviously Danny Ings' history with injuries isn't brilliant. And I don't think it's needed again. Cameron Archer, he deserves that chance. If we're playing 1 up front, which I think we will, probably a 4-3-3, revert back to what we were doing last season. El Ghazi, Troyer on the wings, and then 1 through the middle, probably either Watkins or Danny Ings. And then Archer will get his minutes, but I'm sure he was probably maybe slightly disappointed with getting Chelsea. Sounds a bit silly, but if that's another team, any other Premier League team really, I think he probably will be starting Cameron Archer, because we're not. I think you should say there, James, we're not particularly well stocked with centre forwards. Keenan Davis was going to go out on loan, and now has an injury, and then you've only got your Watkins and your Danny Ings. So if one of those two gets injured, there's a big possibility that Cameron Archer gets much more minutes than what he would have expected.
It's bizarre for him because he was going to go out on loan like Davis, and he's had it kind of capped. So it's like you've made the best worst case scenario. You're not going to get your senior football match as much as you probably thought you would. Probably starting, I guess, for League One, if not Championship teams. So, there's no better way to start your career like Chukwuemeka and Philogene Biday, so getting senior starts. Big on Cameron Archer, Ash. How have you seen his development?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really rip it up at Solihull Moors too much last season. I think it was a big learning loan for him, being amongst a group and a dressing room full of blokes, as it were. So, and yeah, I mean, I was there for his debut against Crewe in the Cup. What we're going on now, 2 years ago now, and a lot of thought of him then. I think his deal's out this summer coming now, so I don't think he wasn't tied down to a long-term deal. So they were unsure on him, given he's much older. I'm saying much older, a couple of years older than Barry and Young and others. So I think he's took his chance in the Cup, and he looks a real finisher. I see him warming up now. He looks a good size now. He's matured, got a good pace about him. The young lads called him a little Tevez on his playing style. But good finisher. D. Smith likes him because he wouldn't have picked him 2 years ago at Crewe. So he's been well liked in that sense. So he deserves a chance for me. I think he'll probably get half an hour at the week in the week and can show his stuff there. But I think that hat-trick against Barrow, I think he's made suitors stand up. I think Villa turned away countless offers for him on deadline day. So I think highly of him, and it's up to him now to take his chance. I mean, from what I've been told, he's been impressing in training. He scored a hat trick in behind closed doors games as well. So real finish, good finisher, as we've seen at Barrow. Real fox in the box finisher. Got good pace about him. I think, like John says, I think he does play. I'll probably play in a 2 as opposed to a 1, and I think if he plays, he could come on the wing as well. So he's very versatile in that sense. So, balls in his court to kick on. He's in a good place to do so. And D. Smith will give him the chance to develop. And, I think we'll see that. I think his situation will be addressed in January.
Does he get the match ball for scoring in the behind the closed doors friendly?
Yeah, he's already got a match ball anyway at Barrow.
He's got a good one, hasn't he? Like an actual decent one, not the fob you off one.
Not a miser.
So the final point then, Manchester United, we're going to have a full preview, I guess, later in the week. We've got a whole football match to play before we face Man United. Just a quick question. Back three, is it still happening? We've enjoyed it so far. I think it's been all right for us, but of course, Axel Tuanzebe cannot play against Manchester United unless Villa have hooked up some deal with them, but I assume that would have not been a good thing for Manchester United to have done and give a competitor an advantage. So as far as we can see, Ash, it's going to be back three, not back three all the way because Tuanzebe's dropping out, or is it back three all the way, Hall's coming in?
Which pocket does Ronaldo want to be in concert? Yeah, looking forward to seeing on Cristiano at the weekend. Good test for Villa. I think they'll be relishing it at Old Trafford. Conte, Mings against the star-studded lineup. So 3 at the back. Does Courtney Horse come in? That's the big question people will ask. So I think we might get to see Courtney Horse in action on Wednesday. If he does okay there, I think he'll come in at the weekend. I think Smith doesn't want to rock the boat too much. I think he was asked about that prior to kick-off against Everton. He said, we've got good looking athletic. We're creating good chances. What have we got to change it for? So he snapped back at the Sky reporter in that sense. So, yeah, interesting. Man U will probably line up, as they always do, 4-2-3-1. I think Villa will look to dominate the engine room and hopefully get the first win since Gabby scored in 2009. Got a hopeless record there, and that needs to change.
One of the only Villa games I chose not to watch. I thought, I can't watch us against Man United anymore, Dad. No, idiot.
It's never beaten, Billy. And hopefully Bruno Fernandes penalty. We don't want one of them. But yeah, we'll see.
It's against West Ham. Ronaldo wasn't at his best. Probably the poorest game you'll have. Scoring a goal and having all the applause, doing step overs in midfield and like kicking it back to Varane. It's the Ronaldo show, dare I say. You looking forward to that kind of matchup, John? Tough one for Villa.
Yeah, I think it will be very tough. United are a really good team, and so we've got a shocking record against them, and obviously Ronaldo's playing. Any sort of result would be a brilliant result. I think Courtney House just comes in, play 5 at the back. I think West Ham played really well against them. Obviously they play with wing backs as well, but they kind of hard to compare us and them because the players are so different. They've got two big midfielders.
Got Declan Rice, yeah.
And very dominant centre halves as well. So it'll be a different game, them playing West Ham to them playing us. But I think a wing-back system will probably give us the best chance of getting anything, to be honest. Because I think if you go one down against Man United, playing without wing-backs, then you've got a bit of a problem because then you've got Sancho, Rashford. Rashford's not fit, actually, is he? But you've got so much pace on the break from Man United because that's how Man United have always played. So can we just try and shut up shop and then try and take them on the break because we've got so many grafters in the team? And obviously going forward to Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings won't give their defenders a moment's rest. So, no, I think it'll be a good game. But, it'll be a very tough one, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll save the predictions for your the preview later in the week, Ash. But, yeah, hope you're looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get one over him at Old Trafford. It'll be one for the ages, mate. I think, we don't beat Manchester United, obviously, for very good reasons. That we've usually been a poor team and they've usually been a good team. It's like, you got your Man City and your Man United. It's almost like the Galacticos, knocking around. Two peak Real Madrids are knocking around in the Premier League, which is bizarre. But you have to play the opposition you're up against. Before we get we'll get a little prediction. We won't get the full prediction, but win, lose, draw. John.
I'll give us a draw.
Ash?
Going with the momentum. Bailey's fit, we're going to win it, man.
You're going to change your mind on your Friday, won't you? Yeah, we go battered by Chelsea. Oh, yeah, I don't see us getting the point here. Yeah, I'll go for win. I want us to beat, mate. I really want us to beat Man United.
Follow them corner kicks at the higher. You won't know what's hitting.
Yeah, he's had his fun saving the penalty. Mark Noble coming on. He's had the little, circus. Now it's time for the real deal, mate. Yeah.
John McGinn's corners.
Yeah, well, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and John and Ash. You know where to follow us at this point. If you don't know, it's in the description. Of course, John's got his at John Townley 11. Mine's at Jamin Rushton. Ashley Preece is, of course, at Preece Observer. As always, you can find us at Claret Blue Pod. And yeah, we'll be back with a podcast after Chelsea. We'll have a little bit before Chelsea, and of course, we'll have a Manchester United preview as well. So keep tuned, and we'll see you later. And up the Villa.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.